The Gift of Gab Show, your go-to lifestyle podcast, covering everything from psychology and relationships to politics and current events. Live from Chicago, it's the Gift of Gab Show. Gift of Gab Show. Here's your host, Gabby Smith.
Dana Michelle, you are back.
Hey, boo.
How are you?
Girl, I am great.
You know, I always love your energy. You know that, right?
Girl, I'm feeling good.
I love it.
Who feels it knows it.
I love it. Well, listen, the last couple podcasts, you talked about healing and getting your mind right to date.
Absolutely.
Okay, listen. Minds are right out there, right? People are ready to hit these streets.
Yes, indeed.
How do you get back out into these streets? How did you do it?
Well, I think for me, I really leaned on my network, and I was all in my feelings initially when I first got divorced.
Shoop, shoop.
Everyone falls. Everyone falls. But one of the most exciting things for me was 2 months after my divorce, it ended up being a college reunion year for me. And I was all in my feelings like, wow, you know, I'm divorced. Like, this is just going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. Girl, I was shocked by how many people were single, going through divorce, and not that I wish that on anybody, let's be very clear, but I felt very comforted by my people who knew me from before my marriage, who were like, girl, you are going to be fine. You look great. It's so good to see you. How have you been? Which was so comforting to me. And so that was a great segue back into the dating world, because I think I've made a lot of friends from my alma mater, and that's been a great opportunity as well. But also just being back out on the dating scene. I go out a lot.
So what does that mean, you go out a lot? I mean, I think when people think, okay, let's get back out into these streets, they mean the club. Is that what you mean?
Sometimes. I love music, and I'll say that again and again. I'm a big fan of music. I'm a big fan of hanging out, love live music. I love to travel. And so I just live my life, and it's amazing how that attracts people, that introduces me to people.
So how are you living your life? What are you doing? Where are you going?
It's important to just be out and do what you normally do and work your network. Many people meet people through friends of friends. For example, I'm getting invited to a lot of 40th birthday parties. It's a great opportunity to just go out and have a good time and meet people that you wouldn't otherwise meet. But you have to be open and to expanding your network. For example, be open to people of different colors, religions, socioeconomic status. Are you limiting yourself to white-collar companionship? It's a good question to think about.
It's a great question.
So be open to trying something new, but regardless of where you go, right? So I'm not going to say go to this church or go to this bar or go to this club or go to this restaurant. It's about wherever you go, how you are when you're there.
It's your energy.
Absolutely. It's also important, think about how your interactions are when you're out. Because I feel, and I'm not saying it's every time, but when I am out, my energy is very inclusive and friendly and loving and energetic. And I think that that's what attracts people, because you could be out here in these streets with no hits
at the club,
at the corner, club, absolutely
looking miserable.
Yeah, and so I think it's about making the most of your time, and I use the analogy of like when you're out there trying to get a job, and you go to a job fair, you're out there trying to get as many numbers or interactions, meet as many recruiters as you can. And I'm not saying go out here and be thirsty, because I'm actually good. I'm not super pressed at all. I just go out and have a good time.
But I'm sure men like that, because I'm sure they meet up plenty of thirsty women. So you're probably really refreshing.
That's what I've been told. I get you're a breath of fresh air, because as I've said before, I have 2 kids. And so that's not necessarily very high on my list.
To have kids.
I would in the right circumstances, but it's not something that I need immediately.
Okay.
There's no clock that I'm working against. And the same is true about marriage. I'm very focused on companionship because I am divorced and I have children. Companionship is what I'm really looking for, above all else. And so men have said to me, you're such a breath of fresh air because you're not telling me you're ovulating on a first date. You're not asking my blood type.
Please don't do that.
Yeah. And you're not ready to march down the aisle.
Impressed.
Exactly. It's all about finesse. And that goes back to the dating game, right? That it is a game, that it is a process. It's about getting what you want out of a situation like Battleship and not necessarily knowing what the other person's objectives are, but in time finding that out.
So people are out here lacking finesse, huh?
That's exactly right. I think people are out playing their hand too easily. You get so excited. And that's why I talk about dating. Date people that you don't even think you would marry. Date people that you just want to go see a movie with. Date people because they're available to go see a show. Just being out helps you learn how to kind of keep that finesse.
So just be open-minded, basically, right? Not limiting yourself or having these ideas in your head of what your perfect man should be like. Just go out there and just be open.
Absolutely. And I think it's the perfect person, too, because I think what happens is that people shut themselves off from being out there. And then when they do find somebody that they're interested in, they kind of come out guns blazing and ready to walk down the aisle playing Jagged Edge. Said I've done it all. But wait a minute. We haven't even had dessert yet.
Right. We're already getting married with 2.5 kids.
Absolutely. And I think you have to take your time.
Relax.
And even if you find somebody that you're really interested in, keep in mind that whenever you encounter anybody, 9 times out of 10, they have something going on. They've got that ex-lover who they still have in rotation. They've got somebody from work that they flirt with and they're not really sure what's going on there. They've got somebody at the gym that they've noticed who they kind of have their eye on and somebody's afraid to make a move. There's this person that they've met right before you who was good, but perhaps not everything they're interested in. And then you come along and everybody's still trying to figure everybody else out and figure out how to categorize them. So if you jump in with too much, you may kill your chances of being the MVP on their team.
So really just relax, right? I mean, not be so eager beaver, just relax, enjoy the process as you've mentioned before. And I agree with you. I feel like men always have, I like to call it white noise, some background stuff going on. I don't think I've ever met a man that was truly 100% single.
That's absolutely true. And it's funny because men tend to be very black and white. When's the last time you've been in a club or a bar or an opportunity where you've met somebody and you've said, do you have a girlfriend? And they're like, well, I'm talking to this girl.
See, what had happened was
on the phone and it's all new. No, that doesn't happen. For men, generally speaking, it tends to be very black or white. They're either committed or they're not. And I think that women too should embrace the concept of being single until you're not. Even if you meet somebody who's amazing, who is your dream come true, that doesn't mean you still don't go out and meet other people, because that man, while being amazing, hasn't asked you for exclusivity.
And that's important because a lot of times I feel like women, we put all our eggs in that one basket, right?
That's true.
We see that hot guy. We're like, hey, I like him.
Girl, you go on a date and
I'm done with everybody else.
Absolutely. You find somebody who can halfway read and who has
just halfway read
a job with benefits. And you like, girl, then you start asking people to be your bridesmaid. And It's like,
you got the wedding plan.
Slow down, because I think that's often how people kill the relationship and the opportunities that could be by jumping the gun.
And the thirst is real.
The thirst is real.
People can see it and
Absolutely.
feel it. Are people, men or women, jumping into bed too soon?
I think that someone's representative always shows up on the first couple of dates. If you a junkie dude and she's coming over to your place, you out here cleaning up to get ready for that date because you want to handle that.
You want to impress.
Absolutely. If you don't really take care of yourself, you out here getting your toes done, getting your eagle talons filed down because you ready to show this man your open-toed sandals. Everybody puts their best foot forward on those first couple of dates. And I think it takes a while before you understand people's true objectives. And I think that at the end of the day, you have to decide what category you're going to put people in. If it makes sense to you for you to give up the cookie, as they say, early on, that may just be what your need is. And you may not be interested in making a relationship or creating an environment that will have a long-lasting impact in your life. This could be somebody who you think is just temporary. But I think that the more interested you are in sustaining a long-term relationship, the more you should just be cognizant of your actions, whether you choose to give something up or not. I think oftentimes we don't spend enough time focusing on what the other person is saying or doing because we're so focused on our agenda. For example, if your objective is to be married because you really want to have children, that can often cloud your judgment and allow you to not focus or prevent you from focusing on what is this person looking for? Are they even looking for a committed relationship? Or is this person out of a relationship themselves and reeling from that and just looking to have a good time? So it's just important to focus on what someone else's objectives are, because as we've said, timing is everything. And it's very important to focus on what someone else's objectives are. And that should be your guide in terms of whether or not you give up the cookie. I think it's a personal decision, but I think you just have to be very clear on what your objectives are and also focused on what his or her objectives are as well.
So, Dana, is there a shortage of good men? You know, you always hear that, there's no good men out there. Is that true? What do you think?
Honestly, Gabs, I think there is a shortage of good people. I have been pleasantly surprised to find so many single, available men, particularly some who have never been married and have no kids. So I would say, and they're all looking for a good woman. They're all looking for a good mate. And so I would venture to say that it's not a shortage of good men, because trust me when I tell you they're out here. But I do think that there is a shortage of good people.
Really? So
Absolutely.
What do you mean by that?
I think there's a lot of people out here looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for relationships with ulterior motives in mind. People are searching for money. People have different agendas. People want different objectives than just building something with somebody, building a lasting, loving relationship. You'd be amazed by how many different types of things people come to the table with in terms of what their needs are and what they're looking for. They really have nothing to do with love and companionship.
So basically, date until you're not dating anymore. Just
Absolutely.
Enjoy the process.
Be
right?
single until you're not.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that when a man really wants you to be in a committed relationship, he'll ask you, he'll tell you, you'll know. And I think we as women sometimes, and especially lately, have made the mistake of trying to force that issue because we're on our own timetable and we're on our own agenda. And so we're asking, where are we at? What's going on? What's the status? But don't take my word for it. We can talk to one of these brothers out here, one of these fine brothers out here in the streets, and see for ourselves.
Well, we need to do just that. And we are actually on our next podcast going to talk to one of these single men that are out in these streets and ask him his thoughts from the male perspective. Well, listen, Dana, you are amazing. We always love having you in here. We just appreciate your wisdom, your honesty. You're out here dating and doing it all right. You got to get your mind right.
Got to get your mind right.
You got to get off that couch.
Absolutely. Like Jody Watley, looking for a new love.
And see what's out in the streets.
A new love.
Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back with a single man with us.
All right.
Let's
do it.
The Gift of Gab show, hosted by Gabby Smith, is sponsored by Bar Louie, located at 1325 South Halsted Street in Chicago. Go there for the handcrafted martinis, 30 beers on tap, and delicious food. Open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. As Bar Louie always says, eat, drink, and be happy. Make sure to check out Gabby Smith at giftofgabshow.com and follow Gabby on Facebook, Gabby Smith, on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest Pinterest at Gabby Smith Show. And stop in and check out her YouTube channel, Gabby Smith.